Oi oi. Flat Earth British, Martin, Litka speaking. Hi guys. Flat thumbs and happy Flatmass to all. Happy Flatmass. Flat thumbs. What a fantastic year this has been. I was just thinking about it this morning. I've been doing a little synopsis, thinking about the year of Flat Earth British, or the year that was Flat Earth British, guys. Done so much. We have done so much. Everything from tour to activism, all during all of this craziness, which is getting extra specially crazy. If you follow my community page and my Christmas message today, okay, my message of love, you will know my thoughts on all at the moment. Now, I found myself in a completely different reality. I woke up this morning. Sometimes I wake up and I think, where exactly am I? Because I don't know where I am half the time. But I'm in a really healthy, beautiful environment and benefiting, you know, health-wise. My mind is becoming clearer because of the lack of basically electromagnetics in the place where I live. They're, you know, kept it out. It's absolutely fantastic, and you can feel the difference. But the downside is I really miss going live and doing proper internet. But that will be remedied in the near future, guys. Okay, so please be patient. So yeah, what a fantastic year that was, guys. I'll talk a little bit about all what we've done along the way. But I have special Brian. Was that an orb? Then, very sure. About there. This side. There. Oh, that's weird. Can I do it? Oh, that way. There. Anyway, extra special Brian Splat Sesh post. I made a discovery, and it's a fantastic discovery. And it's going to, you know, basically corroborate a lot of the stuff which we've discovered on Flat Earth British and think about. So what we're going to think about in this post, guys, okay, is water above the firmament, above the dome, is what we're going to think about, okay. Now, I found a book from 1902. Now, this book was a suggestion of a great unveiling coming, guys, okay, and reset, okay, is an absolute necessity in this book. Now, what this guy who wrote this book has done is a reverse engineer and a deciphering of symbols, alchemical symbols, and the voices of antiquity, the same people we go by. Okay, the only echoes of the past out there. So it's Plato, you know, Aristotle, all the rest. But he's come up with a theory that took him 30 years. 30 years is his life's work. And he comes up with a conclusion that this place is reset. Okay, he thinks it's obvious. He thinks it's obvious once you look into it. And a lot of key things we talk about, you know, the true origin of petroleum, what coal really is, what diamonds really are. He talks about the stars just being lights, and he corresponds them with verses of the Bible and stuff like that, or other testimonies, Quran and other texts which all say the same thing. Okay, that there's a canopy to the Egyptians or the Persians above us, and there are holes, okay, and light coming through. Okay, now this book is fantastic. Now, I've only read 10% of it, and I'm going to cover a lot of it later on, later posts, but I'm going to give it to you for the weekend to look over because it's such a buzz. So we're going to look at that. Okay, what else we're going to think about is mud flood, St. Louis. Meet me at St. Louis. And its strange mounds which were built by, well, you'll get to see. Okay, plenty of cluage in this, guys. Images of the day, and we're going to do a bit of humour. I'm at the British Seaside, and the British Seaside is famous. You may not know if you're in America land or other places, for the saucy British Seaside postcard. They might not be called that, but they are. Okay, I'm going to take a look at a few of them for a giggle a bit later on. They will hopefully show you some cool. I've got quite a few very rare, I've never seen before actually, a couple of them, videos that I've discovered and downloaded to show you along the way. So I can't show you all of that now. It would be in a Flat Earth British think tank post ASAP. So I'm going to think about Antarctica. Now, they've done a stupid thing and said that, the Rona's made it to Antarctica. So cutting that into the narrative. There's been a lot of things talked about in the last week about Antarctica. If you watch my Instagram or my Facebook, you may know what I'm thinking. So, going to this book, Reset, is absolutely a necessity for the mechanism of this place, which is highly interesting. Okay, now, itchy legs. So, platforms, much love. It's been a fantastic year, right, guys? You're the absolute best think tank or community anywhere that I've seen on the internet since I've been on the internet ever, and you all know it as well. It's special, isn't it? It's beautiful. A lot of love and electric chat feeds for this topic and the buzz associated with it. So, I am going to rants brewing. I could have a good rant about it all, but I don't think I'll bother right now. I'm a bit weirded out about everything. It's Christmas Day. I'm in a completely different place. Okay, got a different cat, different everything, in a different place. I don't even know where I am half the time. Okay, but please be patient with the program. So I'm going to start here, guys. Okay, we're going to look at this book. I'm going to show you a bit of it and the contents and go through a little bit of a chapter concerning the Noachian or Noah flood or the deluge, okay, which is fluid. Okay, so hark at what I'm going to be reading, okay, which is only a bit of it, but do enjoy. Do share, please, guys. Get a gang over, because there's a lot of people alone this Christmas because they're not allowed to see their family because they made Christmas a criminal offence. Everyone will be doing selfies now around their Christmas dinners, and then they'll be getting fines through the door after saying, oh, you didn't fucking do it, you gave yourself away. I can guarantee it, they will do that. Scamming fuckers. Anyway, I nearly ranted. Let's get on with it. Peace and love to all, and happy Flatmass. So, Albert Einstein, although he's like a fat girl, wears flip-flops and ladies' underwear, okay, he actually made a flat earth statement, according to the official narrative. Common sense is what tells us earth is flat. It comes from the mouth, apparently, of Albert Einstein. Tesla said it was a realm without defined edges, so he's going more in line with undefined, meaning unrendered. So I think Tesla, knowing it's a realm, is going more in line with simulation theory. So here's this book, guys. Fantastic little discovery. I find it fascinating is the author's name, and he talks about a great unveiling for all of humanity concerning this, the reset. Okay, Waters Above the Firmament, 1902, okay, by where is his name? Excuse me. It's in the book. His name is Vale as well. So let's blow that up a little bit and make it bigger screen for you. So yeah, fantastic little discovery. I was actually buzzing when I started to read it, knowing what we know already. So yeah, copyright 1902 by Isaac N. Vale. I thought that was really unusual. So he calls the reset system in his theory the annular system. Okay, Earth's annular system. Now, I think that he does come from heliocentric thinking, but the same token, he's come up with a theory that I guess he says Venus or Saturn's rings were made of water and may have delivered that come through firmament. But he says, then goes on to state that there's a vast ocean, which is taken from antiquity, above us, okay, which is what we've said, guys, on Flat Earth British. Anyway, let's go with this annular theory for a minute and decide, okay? We can see through the lines and pick out the bits that we know out of this. So, the annular theory was given to the world in a pamphlet entitled The Deluge and Its Cause in 1874. The first edition of this volume was published in 1885 and entitled The Story of the Rocks, or The Earth's Annular System. Both were published by a common printer and sold without advertising. Revised and enlarged, it is again given to the public through regular business channels and well-established publishers as The Waters Above the Firmament, a theory the history of which is left for other times and other pens originated with me many years ago as a small conception. Okay. The idea led me into practical investigations and deep research into the ancient records. That's what we did, guys, with the result that has grown and developed into a theory, I believe, not born to die, and caused me to produce the following series of volumes, of which the Waters Above the Firmament is the first. Nearly all ready for publication, the work of more than 30 years. These volumes occupy separate but continuous fields and present an overwhelming array of testimony in support of the claim that our planet, excuse that, just dropped the T, until long after the beginning of the human period, surrounded by a vast lingering remnants of Saturn-like rings. They were published, provenance permitting, and indicated the end of this volume. So I'm not going to go with that, but he's saying that the stars themselves are just basically lights. Okay, he goes into the fall of Lucifer. Okay, so this is his idea anyway, of his 30-year theory, but he talks about, you know, everything that we talk about, okay guys, in a sort of flat earth narrative. Okay, so he talks about the Egyptians, the Greeks, Rome, Egypt, Persia, India, China, Japan, Scandinavia, and America all saw the last earth canopy, and each has left immortal record of the fact. Compass was the Egyptian celestial water god with the water vase and the serpent his symbols. Sound familiar, guys? And the very name of the canopy, a memorial as enduring as stone. The Bible, the Zendavesta, and the Sagas, and other ancient scriptures testify in this volume. The world's jury takes the evidence, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of covering cast over all people, the veil that is spread over all nations, which is happening now. A veil is a mask, isn't it? It's also a mask. Oh, I've published the following pamphlet. Okay, basically the coal problem, 1885. So he doesn't go with any of the geological record at all. Very interesting. We've talked about this before as well on Flat Earth British. Possibility of petrol or oil being an ambionic solution, water if you like, from the dead Tartars that went before us, and self-replenishing, which means that it's all a rip-off, and they tell us there's shortages to keep the money and prices up. The Great Red Dragon, 1884, Eden's Flaming Sword, Alaska, Land of the Nugget. Why? So these are some of his previous works. So he's a highly interesting guy anyway, regardless of where he come up with his idea. But this is what it deals with. Early stage of ring formation. So he's thinking that the rings brought the water. Now in the official narrative, guys, for the water arriving from, you know, from wherever they say, is, if you was to look into it, where did the water come from on Earth? They would say it was delivered by endless water-bearing comets after eons and eons, and millions of years, delivering all this water, which is insanity in my mind. You know, the sea is salty for a reason. They say most of the fresh water is actually locked in the mantle. There's giant oceans below us, water above, water below. We're mostly made of water. We breathe a sort of liquid, and there's sea everywhere. This place is mostly water, and the information, the Phoenicians, is in the water. 2. Earth cooled from a molten state and rings formed. So this is like his early idea for, I guess, the, you know, how it came to be. Earth's annular system, the first canopy slowly spreading polarward, the last canopy of Earth, the closing sea, which I found really interesting, Earth with belts capping the poles, the view of northern heavens, poles, arches, stars, etc., Sun and Paralia, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, and Earth in Edenic times. So in alchemical terms, you know, the Mercury, Saturn, and all of these are characters in alchemical form. But these people seem to do, the controllers that should not be, seem to do everything by the sky. There's been the conjunction this week, we've all witnessed it. And they have to do certain things on certain dates to match their witchcraft and their calendar. All worlds made alike, some general considerations, evidence supplied of planets, blah 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 blah. Geological record examined, he calls it out, okay. But what my favourite part of this book is, and the most interesting to me, is the Neochian deluge and legends of the flood, which is really good clueage. Consideration of the evidence in support of claims of waters of the ocean have been greatly increased in volume in very recent geological times. So he states that in the Bible it says that it was just swampy and misty and there were no oceans per se, and he shows you evidences in different historical narratives. So yeah, if you move on, he talks about coal being a vegetable product, examination of coal beds under the light of annular theory, which is annular theory is another word for reset. Okay, so let's move on and have a little look at the Enochian, or the Noah flood. So the lost continent he talks about, the last advance of glaciers, I don't go with myself, and the origins of petroleum, and Lord Kelvin on oxygen and coal, which is the things that have come to question. So let's move up to about 100, page 100, and then we can see, oh, that was good, concerning the deluge. Okay, so they use the usual contemporaries, Herodotus, you know, basically the same contemporaries we use ourselves. Let's have a little look at this. So it goes into the flood, quite creepy, some of the things that it actually states, which is taken from other narratives. But the Noachian deluge, a professor from one of the first institutions in this country once declared, as he no doubt conceived to discredit the biblical version, that no one but a DD now believed that there was ever a deluge. It was said, to the deathless honour of DD, whoever he is, may always be said and stand in testimony of the law. It's a bit like, you know, you can't say what happened in the war or what happens with the pandemic, etc. I have shown foregoing chapter that every feature and phenomenon of the Adamite age point towards future deluge as a matter of absolute necessity. Let the reader resurvey the statements made in reference to the heavens and the earth, and the divisions of water, and the stars, and the lighters, and the light of the first, second, third, the day of rest, and Eden world and its climate, the rainless period when the whole surface of the earth was watered by mist only, man's longevity and the giants of those days, and the absence of rainbows. Now this is why Queen Elizabeth is used, or choose to use, the rainbow as the symbol for a pandemic, and it states here that everybody in those days were indeed giants, which we've already talked about many times. So as I show you here, you know, he's going with heliocentric thinking, but when you go on and you read on, he denies the stars or anything like they say. He just thinks that they are basically lights, as for the planets as well, and a vast ocean above us. Anyway, this book is absolutely fantastic. When you read through it, there's just so much of it. It's a meaty read. It's 429 pages. But anyway, and if possible, draw any conclusion that this earth, in the ordering of nature, was fated for the coming fall of water. What is more natural? Okay, so apparently this is a part of it. And what natural visitation could be more appalling, far-sweeping and destructive than the inevitable dispersion. I presume that the biblical narrative of the flood is the possession that every reads in these pages, and I will therefore not insert it here. So he's not going to use any of the Bible Genesis in this narrative. The first impression given to the reader is that the Mosaic account of the universality of the falling waters, which of course necessities of an angular source. And the philosophical mind, as it contemplates the great world of law, conceive of any source in any order the God of nature, from whence such a stupendous downfall of waters could come, other than this most natural one. The rain from the mighty deep alone could thus have swept the earth alone. So that is from below us, guys. Just like in the movie Noah, there's all of these fountains bursting up from the ground. And I think this is why the Phoenicians have these bursting up water fountains all over Christendom. I think this is a clue for the water bursting up through the floor also. And when we contemplate that the volume of water now on earth and in its rocky frame sufficient to make 1,000 terrific deluges, every one of which could drown the world of living beings, and which has fallen to the earth necessarily as stupendous cataclysms, how could we responsibly expect that this historical and traditional narrative can refer to any other closing scene of annular declusion? So that would be the end of the stage set, reset the stage, let alone reduce extent of the great debacle of waters to the lowest maximum this narrative will allow. So even in the worst case scenario, the flood fucks all. And take that into consideration, the well-known fact of there scarcely is a nation, tongue or tribe on earth that has not a tradition of the great event, and yet we will fail to find any existing source of such a rain. Study the biblical account of the flood and you will tell me, did that rain descend from the clouds? So that is a good question as well, guys. Okay, or did it just, a plug got taken out of the dome and all of the water just pouring from the deep, what we call Tartarian Ocean above us, where there are probably other lands, and we're probably in the yellow submarine, probably upside down also, because everything is back to front, inside out and upside down. So put everything right again, that would make sense. And they're in the mirrors, they're in the reflections, or the reflection between the reflections, they're in the echoes, they're in the water, but it can be identified and it can be neutralized. Neutralize that pH, you know, that pH, the acidity in the pH, neutralize it, guy. Alkaline those motherfucking Phoenicians, shall we? Once and for all. So fantastic book. It talks about the great fountains of the deep through imaginary windows of heaven, so Enochian. Okay, so yeah, I could read this forever, but it's just going to go on and on. So I'm going to link that to you. We're going to talk about more of it. You know, I'm only 100 pages in. I want to read about that Ambionic, or the story of coal, and see what he says about coal. Okay, so yeah, his investigation into this subject of 30 years has come to the conclusion, okay, that there is waters above us, and they come in and of course deluge, and all ancient antiquity verifies this. Anyway, let's have some more thoughts concerning the dome age. Now, this been out a while, little interesting video, and what you see here is one of their space rockets going up, but they don't ever go up because they can't go up because they would hit the dome, and they can't take photographs of Earth from space because they can't get high enough because there's a dome, a firmament in the way. So what you see with this, there's plenty of these videos out there. One of the best you'll ever see is on GeoShifter's channel, of basically you can see the rocket because there's a camera on it crumpling as it hits the dome. This one, okay, is something completely different. Now, the rocket goes up, impacts the dome here and begins scraping along it, spraying water as it goes. Okay, and what you witness is what looks like you're above a speedboat going through water. So he's upside down, he's on water, and he's skipping along it. Now he skips off the dome, which you can see, and you can see the effect on the so-called craft as well as it hits the dome. Here it impacts the dome again and plows along it. So it looks exactly like a motorboat in the sky. So it looks like he's just going through water. Look at the dispersance of that. It just looks exactly like water. It seems the stress of ploughing through the water above the firmament has caused another stage of the rocket to break loose and begins hammering against the dome, which you can see. It's giving off like smoke rings or something. But ripples in water. Praise him, ye heavens of earth, and ye waters. So it was biblical, that with the Psalms there. So yeah, 100% looks like it's in water, or on water. Impacts the dome here and begins scraping along it, spraying water as it goes. Check it out. Looks like a motorboat in the sky. It surely does. Praise him, praise him. Yeah, man. That looks like it's certainly in or on water. Watery wickedness. Now watch it now, impact. Boom. So I hit the dome, skipped and I hit it. Boom. God. Hit the dome. You can't get up there. So there's more outside the dome. We think the edges may be coming down in Antarctica. There's some narrative from an American, I got it up here actually, excuse me, an American encyclopedia from the 1950s, which actually states, and if I click that, it's just going to balls everything up, guys, but it actually states, I'll link it to you, that there's a dome elevating, I think, 15,000 feet, Antarctica, but a lot of people say a dome of ice, but it doesn't actually state that. So what we're going to look at here, guys, is we're going to think about Antarctica. I'm going to show you something a little bit later in my images of something that came in this week, and it doesn't matter if it is bogus. They're still telling us there could be warm lands out here in the extremities outside the 80th. Okay, so basically what you find is the magnetic declination, the magnetic pole, supposed South Pole, is all over the place. They say the same for the North, okay? And declination keeps on shifting, so there's no, they can make up a geographical North Pole, make it up if it's even there, but it's absolute bullshit, guys, because the magnetic pole is jumping all over the place. It's here, 1825, 1840 there, and it comes there, and it comes there. Now they can be just measuring vectors and not even getting the declination or the point. So they could be just getting anywhere. The Earth's one big compass anyway. And where do all needles on a compass point, guys? So here's this ice barrier that they talk about. It went for 60,000 miles around the inner circle. Apparently Captain Cook couldn't penetrate it, couldn't find a way in. But these are given narratives, to keep our mind, away from the truth, that there could be warm lands out of the way, right down here, as all these old maps are showing us. Okay, guys? So it's a curious old map. I'll link it up to you. And it's from 1840 concerning Antarctica, or what they got of it on the South Victoria coast. They've even got a Melbourne there, guys. Prince Albert Mountains is near. Okay, so highly interesting. And another narrative which I've been thinking about, guys, is this. I've been thinking about this quite some time concerning the undersea transatlantic telegraph cables that they say were laid by basically the Great Eastern. So the Great Eastern, the greatest ship that's ever been built by, is in Bad Kingdom Brunel. Okay, It's not basically working out, making money, because it burns too much coal, so it's not financially viable. So they say they leave it for a while, goes a bit rusty, and then they commission it to lay the first transatlantic telegraph cables in 1869 here, and there's a map of them. Okay, they go a bit extended. The green ones are apparently proposed. It takes us a little minute to load. So my idea is this, because, you know, it was all here already, nothing new under the sun, was this, okay, is that one day Cedric, or somebody, was walking down the beach on the south coast of England, and out of the beach he's seen a cable, a big, fat, juicy cable sticking up out of the ground. Oh, what could this be? And then maybe they surmised that it went underneath the entire Atlantic Ocean and maybe fed the entire grid around the world. And this thing, this cable, for epoxy, no offense to Morse, I think there's something deeper going on with Morse code anyway, is this really, really, really chunky undersea cable that they found, I think. So it's apparently, it looks like a fiber optic. It looks exactly like a church window, the inside of a fascia. This thing does, in my mind, a lot more technology for epoxy, beep beep, dot dot, that dash, done a wire all the way to America, the telegraph. Okay, I think this thing was there already. I think they reversed engineered it, made the best of what they could. You know, this thing, hole in the middle, and then all of these little wirelets all the way around, exactly like the somatic patterns on church windows. So it's doing something more in my mind, okay guys, is what I think. And also mermaids, she's blowing you a kiss. That's for you, she's blowing you a kiss. It's a nice little touch for Flatmass. So I think they were there already, I really do, and these maps are extensive. So what they sort of prove anyway is we had communications 1869s across the entire plane, and in the modern day they tell people there's satellites. Well, we'll look at that later, images of the day, because when you look into it, if you are interested and you believe in the globe and believe in satellites, there are actually no pictures of satellites at all, they're all CGI, and they will tell you that they put up X amount of Google loon balloons a month, like thousands, which have satellites on them, and they keep crashing to Earth, and we have plenty of photographs, some of which I will show you later in this post. But at 1869, the world was wired for communication right the way across Asia, and some of them were to be proposed. So apparently there's a thing called the Mid-Atlantic mountain range as well. So it's supposed to be a mountain range that rips through the middle of the Atlantic, so they tell you. How exactly do you lay a cable down valleys and then back up again and over vast mountain ranges as big as the Himalayas? Bigger mountains than Everest? I just ask. It seems weird. Anyway, so yeah, all the way to Newfoundland. So Marconi was wireless signal through a big fuck off aerial, and 60 years before then that was beep beep, all the way to Newfoundland, submarine telegraph. Interesting. And they say that it is, and that's where it was laid, by the Great Eastern. So I'm not buying it, like I'm not buying a Channel Tunnel or Suez Canal and the Panama Canal, because we know that these things were there before. Anyway, time now for mud floodage. Mud flood St. Louis. We love St. Louis, okay? There's a little narrative I love with this, and we're going to look at some pictures of St. Louis and its exposition along the way. Now, St. Louis is a fantastic city, Tatarian as you know, okay? But there's a narrative that goes with it. Now, we've looked at there's a similar narrative to what you're going to find with Bunker Hill in Boston, or I guess same narrative with Seattle as well, same narrative with Chicago as well, same narrative with Kansas City. Apparently they're all full of mud, these cities, great mounds in them. This one's actually called Mound City, we've talked about it before. See the smashed tree? Always from a bird's eye perspective, just like the Lead van der Haar Atlas. These mounds, okay, which are anomalous, which are pyramids or old world. Anyway, long before the French or Spanish claimed or found in the area, Native Americans formed St. Louis as the center of the largest civilization north of Mexico. This stretch from the Mississippi River along being a landmark as a place they called home, long before Louisiana was purchased. Now, interesting little thing about the Mississippi River we know about from 1811, isn't there? No one knows what happened to the Mississippian culture. Hang on, hands up. I got my hand up. I think I might know. Is there anything to do with the fault along the Mississippi, the New Madrid fault, and events that happened in New Madrid? Possibly. Also known as the Coaquians. This was once called St. Louis by the nearby Collinsville home around 1000 AD. But by the time our settlers got there, that was bullshit. Here, only one thing left is the giant man-made mounds. Isn't that a curious word? Giant man-made mounds. These giant formations of dirt, mud, are believed to have been used for burial, prestige, or religious ceremonies. Just like the pyramids, guys, only there's no bodies and there's no dead. It's just no. Comically, the mounds have been attributed to a race of pygmy builders, so I guess they mean normal-sized people and not giants. The lost 10 tribes of Israel, who are the Welsh, haha, I'm Welsh, the Toltecs, and the Hindus and the Vikings. So the Welsh are thought to be the Hebrews anyway, so yeah, we've heard this narrative before. So apparently, the Welsh were over there building this stuff way back. Okay, guys, just so you know, if you're in St. Louis, I built your shit, mate. The Forest Park alone, 60 mounds were destroyed in preparation for the 1904 World's Fair. So they say. Convenient little photograph, that, isn't it? So they were everywhere. Similarities, I guess, to Serpent Mound. At one point in 1819, Army engineers waiting for a steamboat, the Western Engineer, to be repaired, counting 27 mounds of various forms and magnitudes arranged nearly in the line from north to south, from Billings Street North Mound to east of Broadway, today's Lockleeds Landing. Anyway, in the early 1800s, most prominent members of St. Louis built their homes on or amongst the mounds. Did they not? Later teens would use the mounds as dig caves for smoking and skipping school. All right, yeah, that's a big reason to get rid of them. But somehow in 1868, city leadership got the idea to dismantle them, the stories and the heritage in them. So basically, they got rid of some of the greatest antiquity in America because kids were skipping school and smoking, apparently. Yeah, okay, I believe that. I believe the Rona. One of the most distinctive are Ashley and Billings Street. Okay, let's move on. And let's have a look at these big mounds. So this one, big mound, about the size of a football field. Okay, 35 feet high and the largest northernmost of 25 mounds. And look at that. They even state, remarkably, just as it was almost completely destroyed, someone remembered to take a picture. Yeah, very remarkable, very fucking convenient. So a load of blokes digging out deep mud. Are they antiquity? Are there structures inside them? Maybe pyramids. But the early world, and they've admitted it anyway. Look at that thing all cut out and wedged. Looking at my window, a crow and a magpie having it off. Not having it off, I mean having an argument. You are, and look at this, right? So builders come to work in white shirts and suits and no shovel. No, so they're just standing there doing sweet fuck all, and there's only one man with a shovel digging this mound of mud. Okay, so that is just, that's your Iwo Jima shop set up. Okay. And this one, 1869, there's not much left of that. Looks like a bit of a tree trunk to me. But that's the last of that mud being taken away. Seems to be a few more workers on that one. So they found some stuff, but they can't give us a photograph. They're just telling us. So just words on a screen make it a real thing. 2 copper earrings, still in a skull, in one of the skeletons. They were about 3 inches tall and 1 inch wide. What, the skeletons? In the form of long-nosed ghost god masks. Like masks showing up a lot in reality, aren't they? The nose, the face protruding 6 inches. And earrings were lost after being thrown into a janitorial closet. So they had the stuff that they discovered, but it's been lost. Okay, that all makes perfect fucking sense. So there you are. They dug out the mud and they left a rock to tell you this place was really cool. Had a mud mound, and now there's a motorway bridge and a stone. So it's really, really shit, basically. Sorry, you know, your heritage and that, but that rock is just like not doing it. Yeah, look. That's as good as it gets. And they, you know, Native Americans, is it really? Or were the Native Americans would probably say this was here many, many years before we got here. Like they always say, we never built this shit. Like they always say. So let's have a look at some pictures of St. Louis. We do like St. Louis on Flight of Britishness. Meet Me at St. Louis was a film and a movie, and there's loads and loads of videos on YouTube showing you this beautiful exposition. Second to none, and they removed the mounds to build it with a shitty narrative that I don't believe one bit. So glittering palaces and cascades. Excuse me, it got burnt down, as you know. And palaces of electricity. Okay. Excuse me, sorry about the size. I just moved that up a bit. Palace of electricity and machinery from Cascade Gardens. So, like all the expositions, you know, they sort of come a cropper. So you get the Venetian art. Excuse me. And electricity being used very early on. From there. Early electricity. Very beautiful though. And this is interesting. Something I should look more into is the derrick, which is a ship's crane. And a narrative there for what these things are meant to represent. But definitely a nautical, marine feel to it all. And a Phoenician, strange bit of masonry. And here's the St. Louis and water, and looks like Venice, and they have gondolas just like Venice, Phoenicians, but very beautiful. 1904, very early for any of the things that they had, like the engineering, water pump, huge, massive water pumps they had in pump houses all over Christendom, and the city, basically in the Tatarian era, I guess. So Canton, we have a Canton here in Cardiff, tea company, so a nice bit of China tea, but beautiful. Looks very English looking, very British looking. But they got a beautiful Anglican church, some really nice stone built old world masonry. Unfortunately, something really bad looks like it's happened to the street. Like nothing going on except for mud and stones. Interesting shot that, isn't it? And the steamboats out on the Mississippi. And what looks like a dovecot, but who even knows? The roof's gone. I just came back from the Windy City. The Windy City is not St. Louis, but they got what we got. So a Greco-Romano temple with a giant domage. Outside is what? Wood. Okay, are they just building it? No, this thing's covered in crap and damaged. Look at the bloody columns. Doors up in the air. We may have caught the conversion from the mud flood era. The tarting up, as we like to say. There's a lot of blocked up windows for an old structure. A new structure. Blocked up there. I think there's something missing on that zone. Blocked up. And the steamboats. Steel, steam powered, mechanical, really early. Bringing in the cotton and whatever else. Oh, let's have a look at St. Louis. So that's a bit more like the Wild West we'd expect, isn't it? instead of them little wooden saps, you know, little wooden huts and saloons, stone buildings. And there they are again, taking away this tree trunky looking thing. Guessing they're taking the kids out for a dig. Isn't it funny when you get a new place to live, they call it your digs. So I'm guessing they dug the mud out but left it, you know, in a terrible fucking state. So they got this industry in the background, blocked up windows, must be window tax, bit of Tataria going on, Anglican church, and a whole load of cows drinking out of the water. Yeah, that's a muddy old shot, isn't it? And there's a map of the World's Fair based on circuit board cities. It looks like heat sinks, and it looks like a computer array, a computer setup, all of it. Same as all expositions, by the way. Meet me at St. Louis. So yeah, beautiful city. So mud flood, if you're from the area, happy to hear from you. So we're moving on. I've got a few more things to show you. I've got some fun, and I'll come back on camera very, very shortly. So I'm checking the time, Christmas Day, because I've literally just shot off and left everything and everybody to do postage. So it's not everybody, it's only my son here, but you know what I mean. 1888, Tonkin, or Ceylon, which is a small island now known as Sri Lanka, which is off the coast of eastern India, as we all know. But the Tamil tigers and etc. are known to be from this place. They're an interesting looking people. Not quite Indian. Some of them quite Western-y looking, like that guy. She's missing and like sort of see-through. So let's have a little look. So that's Colombo, the capital, I'm guessing. Well, it is the capital, I'm not guessing, I know that. And they have rather large trees and someone who's from Britain, because I guess they were under the Raj. This is 1888. The Raj has fallen by now, but the British are certainly still there. So they really dig their water buffalo, don't they? If you've got 10 water buffalo, you're really, really rich in these places. Yeah, they love them. They really respect them. That's freedom. So freedom awaits us as soon as they go insane. More, because they really do lose their shit on us people. I've explained this on my vlogs for the last few years. They go nuts on us, especially as the stage show winds up to an end. They're really not giving a fuck anymore. They're just gaslighting. Oh, you can have Christmas. No, you can't have Christmas. You know, a lot of people kill themselves over that shit, because a lot of people take Christmas and meeting their relatives after such a poxy year really, really fucking seriously. So some mud flood buried gravestones on a mound. And this guy, who's a Brit in a pith helmet, writing them down. Nam. Holy shit, I got really severe tinnitus just hit me. One of the worst I've had forever. Wow. That's really strange. It's still going on. So, kids, no, men, and they're in the mud. And they're doing what? Answers on a postcard, guys. They're digging something out. There's a lot of big ships out in the bay, look. Big steel ships, 1888, and they're looking like that. What's he got in his hand? Rocks? Yes, rocks. Oh, they look like rocks. Two men couldn't hold a load of sloppy mud for a start off, because it would just fall apart. They're passing one another rocks. Maybe they're making some flood protection. That's an intriguing shot. See what else we can discover while this is actually loading. Yeah, rather early though, 1888. Look at this ship for 1888. Is this the Britannia? No. The Percival. Still British though. What is that on the back end? So she's steam, she's sail. And I don't know what that is. It's not a sail. It's not flags, there's the flags. They're showing colours. And the crew have come ashore. Cool. Seems to be a lot of Brits turning up in these pictures. So what architecture did they already have there? The residents of France in Haypal. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. What has happened there? Is that a bell outside? It surely is. An upside down bell? Yeah? Flying the French flag, and it's a mud fladder, alright. So, the old world in Sri Lanka. One builder, the whole plane. So look at this one. Happy holidays, happy holidays. More men in the mud. Strange, these blue coloured pictures. See quite a few of them from this era. Okay, so translate this a minute. Arriving troops, weapons. Okay, so they're bringing weapons in, which they do. Probably for the Tamil Tigers. Okay. Not too much going on, just a load of Brits or French or Europeans. Not where they're supposed to be. Stealing shit and oppressing people, like they always do. We're gonna bomb those fuckers into democracy. They will believe. She's nice. So that's a nice building. Looks a bit plantation-y though. Oh, the British got the good shit, and the people that I'm guessing this is not their, this lady's house. Looks like they got solar panels. Looks like an old church machine. So some boats, more junks. There's a lot of people live on junks. Let's have a look at a junk. So they seem quite happy. Out on the river. Millions live like that worldwide. Mind you, most people live on the coast in this place. Most people live in the northern hemisphere. Check this dude. Oh, I like your name. Ooh, excuse me. Oh, they're in rags really. But he looks proud with his boys out and about, eh? Maybe they're not his boys, maybe he's Fagin of that city. Consider yourself one of us. So, some gates, let's have a look. Consider yourself one of the family. Pagoda. Oh, they built that. Wow, look at that for detail. So you just step in there, and what happens? Bell rings. And what? Revitalized? Transported? Wow, look at this for smashed antiquity, guys. So, it's all grown over, all to shit, and as you'd expect, ruined. A bit ruined and broken. From an event that happened in this place worldwide not long ago. Recent times. A few hundred years ago. And more recent resets. The details in this. Fucking fantastic. But it's still the Phoenician influence, it's still the watery theme. But that thing looks like it's, hasn't been touched since it's been underwater. They've just come along to photographs. 1888. So, like a Greco-Romano arch, but in Chinese or Indian style. Looks more Chinese to me. Something built out on the water, very beautiful. Yeah, it's a nice bit of time travelling on Flat Earth British, but I need to get a move on. Okay, guys, so I'll link these to you. Oh, look at that, big trouble in Little China. Well, that's a hat. Maybe they could just, throw them in the water and actually sail in them, like a conical conical hat. Don't even laugh, it might be a thing. What's these? What's these? What's them? There's no bulb in them, so what exactly would they be? There's 2 of them here. No more on the street. Outside of this building. Big plate. 2 guys, British or wherever they are. Oh, what are they looking at? Dog and a lady calling a dog. Okay, nothing too sinister, that's normal. What about these? What could they be? What could they be? What could they be? Not fucking flagpoles, that's for sure. Oh, look what it says. It's the residence of a colonel's mansion, but it doesn't say. Maybe they're just really weird flagpoles without flags. So let's do a bit of suppression of the local people. Let's democratize these fuckers. Okay, let's make them believe. If they don't believe, we'll make you believe. We'll keep on and on and on until 4 becomes 5. Gaslight them so they don't even just dribble us by the end. Just be smacked into submission. This is like mind control. This is what mind control is. Corporal punishment. It's fucking people's heads up so they just, like, if they're weak already, they've had it. They will buckle under anything, especially with double think. That's enough to mess your head up. Double meanings for everything that they say. Or even more. Interesting. Poor people are not doing too well there. There's the people. I feel that's a merchant city. A Catholic chapel destroyed. Oh yeah. And they're rebuilding it. I wonder what happened to it, guys. There's a lot of destroyed things going on. Wow. In Ceylon, an Anglican chapel church being rebuilt after something. They're not really saying what though. Catholic. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Not building it was there already, and that was in 1888. 1840 to 1914 this photographer lived. So some clergy. So right, it's going into civilians now and peoples. Okay, let's move on because, oh, that's fantastic. Let's just have a little quick look. Wow, what is that pyramid building with the massive doors? Looks like it goes underground or something. A ladder. Interesting. It's like they've just discovered this place. It really is like they've just found it. And then people don't know what the hell they're standing in. Look at this for a Star 40 thing. Pyramid. Huge. Somatic windows all the way up. Hanoi. Hanoi rocks. Okay, let's move on. So I'll link that to you. You won't miss any. And in case you didn't know, today Martin League channel reached 27,000 subscribers again. So thank you so much for that. If you're new to my channel, we have a lot going on. Okay, we have the Flat Earth British website. We have all these channels. That's the Celtic Tatarian channel, Flat Earth British Think Tank channel, and this one as well. But please do subscribe to them because basically we do juice on them. So. And that's where we're at. My last post was concerning the navel of the world and the Omphalomus. It's cluage for what this place is, I think. And what could be the Omphalos? It looks like a bell. Could it be a Fabergé egg? Is that what they are harking back to? Not balloons. So this is a website. If you don't know, Martin Leaguer's Flat Earth British, mind-blowing mud flood on alternative history and much, much more. Okay. And there's a shop to buy Flat Earth British things. It's a photo drop. Lee's stuff and my stuff and everybody else's who contributes, and you can, there's a book 2, as I have announced, coming out in the series of the Holy Grail, taking pre-orders early spring, and this should be out early spring, this second book. Okay guys, If you don't know about it and you haven't had your brain splattered yet, find out about the reset system, about electromagnetic technologies like the Faches. Find out about the true shape of the Earth, or magnetic shape of the Earth, and 4 angels, and much, much more. Free energy, everything. The keys to starting over are in this book, guys. Everything is in there. Okay? And it's book 1. So there's all the shit that happens on Flat Earth British. We got Twitter, Facebook, and everything else, and so much going on. And these are our subjects: mudflood, Tataria, the firmament, comets, Faches, star forts, technasmia, antiquitech shapes, giants, maps, airships, words, science, world's fairs, resets, architecture, art, weather, aquatech, fireplaces, resources. In here, thousands of books. Just click it and have a look. News and activities. But that firmament book is definitely one for this, resources. And Welsh Dragon Metals, who is my son, who is Lawrence Leaker, who does gold recovery from e-waste, etc., and making jewellery, which is all really cool. Now, we're going to have a look at images of the day shortly. First of all, we're going to have some funnies. Now, first, let me just see. Let's have a look at where I am. Now, the place where I am is Tataria, okay? It is, like I mentioned, about the water bursting up from below, the Phoenicians, in a Phoenician fountain outside of an amazing Tatarian pavilion building here in Torbay. And Hermes on the top of a dome, and the place is on the Gulf Stream, and it's quite warm. We've got a microclimate, yeah. And there's a bakery in the high street called Oggy Oggy. I think they must have changed the name over quickly, knowing I was coming up the street. So they got crystal shops and also head shops. And they had a museum concerning criminals, that you can actually wear the underpants of Fred West, if you so please, for 10 minutes, they say. I made that up, but it's stuff like that. It's like, would you really want to go in and see like crazy criminal shit? Well, I wouldn't. Anyway, the Crime Museum. Crap. That was just in the side of a rock. I'm not sure, but it was like, is that natural, or did someone build a super fantastic, Lord of the Ringsy type city in a grotto? I think that was the case, yes. So, like I mentioned in my last post, there's ships out in the harbour, in the bay, just sitting there, cruise ships just waiting. I've seen some of the crew come off on a boat. They're Filipinos, and some of the other mud flooders of this town. And this is my son, who I just mentioned, and it is a very Masonic place. Jordan Lodge. Even Crowley lived here, and famous novelist I can't fucking remember. Look at that. See what I mean? The wedge in the dome. Pull that out. The water comes in. And some added later heraldry, I would say. I'd say there's added on the dome, the front portico, on there's a dome behind here. Some bits of the original fixtures and features. So yeah, they got like gargoyles on these sort of ancient buildings that are dotted around all over the place. Nice little evil touches. Boot scrapers for all the mud. And the Phoenicians coming up through the waves, as always, on their apex. And this church is massive, but it looks like it's, well, basically we asked the guys who was building on it. It's got burnt out in a fire. But it's a fantastically designed church with a really, really big belfry, spire, tower. So there's me and my son the other night down in the bay, down by the marina, chilling out. And they've even got a magnetic care thing where you can get like magnets to for health benefits. Oh, and there's a little bay called Beacon Cove, which has loads of like nice things to pick up on a beach, like glass. And even Helena of Blavatsky's crowd made it into a mudflood building here. The Theosophical Society. Got a wicked little mud flood. Check it out. Yeah, just rolled down the hill and buried half of that. So yeah, it's Mudfloat Gold here. I've made loads of videos to show you over the duration, just giving you an idea. So very mud floody here indeed, and quite beautiful. As you can see, Tataria Grand Hotel. Just a massive Tatarian building. So yeah, in the British Seaside we have a thing you may not know of called seaside cards, and they're quite fun. Let's have a look at some of them and have a giggle, shall we? I don't know why they made me undress. I only came to deliver a parcel. So the doctors do, you know, are a bit iffy, some of them, and he had a cunning plan. You know. But they do wrong operations, don't they? They remove people's bollocks when they only went in there for the tonsils taken out because the table was the wrong way round. You're having no more whiskey. There'll be none left for your funeral. For the funeral. Brian gathered is his because he's not looking too good. So I think that's pretty accurate with a lot of people's thoughts on their parents. As much as we love them and everything, what I'm finding from my experience in life is a lot of them can't wait for their rich relatives to go and fuck off and die already so they can have their house and their money, and they're that selfish because they're driven by greed and stuff and things. Keep up with the Joneses. All of that's gone. We're going to have the biggest recession imaginable. Blackpool Tower isn't as big as I thought it would be either. Just married. So she's like, oh, for fuck's sake, and he's like, kerching, or not, as the case may be. Anyway, how bastard stupid can you get? I distinctly said, prick his boil. That's a good one. So yeah, these are common in Britain. You have these come through the door, guys. Yeah, even, you know, these are just like normal stuff in Britain. You know, we all know about these. Steady with the gas, because apparently that can happen. I would like to see that in real life in action, actually, guys, to see if that really happens. I think it might. Yeah. I warned you to keep your bra on for skipping. The ladies keep fit class, and that's why she got 2 black eyes. And this can happen, guys. I've seen this once with a woman jogger. She was jogging down the road and she spacked herself right out. Yeah. Let's have it now, Fred, before it goes soft. It's alright. It's all in the best possible taste. That's cheating, Fred. You're only supposed to tee up in the rough. Oh, that's a bit rude. Look at his face. In the rough. Anyway. Oh, this guy reminds me of me. Put your knees down, Mr. Jones. They are down this. I don't know. Little things, please. Little minds. Also, they say, I'm afraid I've wasted a penny down here. Yeah, you have, mate. And you don't see nothing on them butler saw anyway. The shit. Just have a look about you. That's where the world is, mate. Not in a screen. Not in a screen. No, I think this is like a bit gay. I'm not sure what's going on. We're gonna have to examine this a bit closer. Don't go louder. Anyway, thank goodness, a relief man at last. No, I can't see his problem. Okay, of what is the matter with him, unless he's on an island full of women and he's gay, and now he's happy because another dude turned up. That would be a really sick, sad irony, I think. Anyway, where would you like it, missus? On the carpet or over the edge of the table? No, that's a completely normal thing for a postman to say, guys. She's perked up a bit. Anyway, but darling, it says in your papers that one-piece costumes are the fashion of the year. I like this guy's thinking, and it does, guys. Girls, it actually does say in the papers that one pieces are the fashion this year. I think they should be practiced all next year. Anyway, you can get that lot off your chest. I don't like the other girls reading my mail. That's good, isn't it? What's she, Chinese? She's got a red and white top on as well, very Tatarian, don't you think? Stripey. She just lays there in the sun all day, but she livens up once it goes in. I bet she does. Okay. Just twit once it goes in. Get it? I get it. Okay. So this is true. Like, no, this is true about Scotsmen. Okay, we wear kilts in Wales too. Not really. They say they're the reason they wear extra long kilts. So, if you know, maybe you could comment if this is true. Probably is. I don't know. Okay. It's no good, love. The rub has perished, and I can't get it up. Shouldn't be sitting behind bushes anyway. It's a bit weird. This might be a bit much. I don't know. See how it goes. A bit late now, anyway. I want to back the favourite, please. My sweetheart, give me £1 to do it both ways. Yeah, that might be a bit much, actually. I don't know. We'll see. Just looking for concealed weapons, sir. Yeah, you don't look too happy. Well, the famous Scotsman, isn't he? Oh, this one's best. A stick of rock or cock. Yeah. Listen, if you snap my head off, I got flat Earth British right away through me like a stick of Blackpool rock. And this is true. Okay, don't put it to the test. Just take my word for it. A stick of rock, cock. So he's got a cock rock. Oh, I don't even know what that slipped in there to my funnies. But this is St Fagans Castle, where I live in South Wales. It's beautiful. Oh, so that's it on the funnies. And here's me yesterday down by the seaside. Oh, I do like to be beside the prom with brass band plays tiddly on pom pom. Now I'm going to come back very shortly. I'm going to show you some images of the day, and then this will be uploaded for Flatterday, and I can get on with Christmas activities I've left. It's quarter 4. Christmas is over. This is in Brittany. I'm not doing anything actually, activities wise. I'm just spending a year really with you. This is in Brittany in France, northern France, which looks very British. But look at that church put in that pile of rockage. Like that. Brittany in France. This one's also in northern France, I think it's in the Alsace. And it looks like a big tree trunk. And I'm guessing because they've built this monastery on top and there's holes here that there's some sort of cave system inside. I would propose, but definitely looks like a mesa or a tree trunk, a big one. So this is apparently built by the Krakowians, which are a race that lives in Krakow in Poland, civilization, and they built it for one of the population of Krakow in the old days. Built this thing to commemorate one of their dead military nobodies inside of a strange military looking staff with all highly advanced communications in these day and age. But I would say it's a pyramid, and they're just telling you that inside a star fort. The fall of the Tower of Babel. Why were they building it to get up there? And what exactly zapped it? They were trying to get up to the firmament. I have problems with this photo. What you're looking at here is 1915 and the light, the Air Corps for British, soon to be RAF, the Air Corps for Britain. And they get a day out in, as they all did, the Anzacs too, before they go and get splattered in the trenches. A day out at the Pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx. The Sphinx looks like it's just had his face laid on like a couple of days before in plaster. And can't really make the contours out in this pyramid. Maybe we're a bit too far away. And what is giving this massive shadow on the Great Pyramid of Giza? I don't know. Something doesn't fit. The background looks wrong. The whole picture is highly weird. Something off with it all. I don't know. Check this out. There's a station in New York. Eventually that would go off to Grand Central. And it looks like a British railway station. This is old world Tartaria. And as I mentioned with satellites, if you don't know, just Google and try and find a real image. You won't find one, okay? And then you've just Googled Project Loon, and you'll find out that they put up thousands of balloons with satellites on them, and they come down regularly, look. Sides of balloons. Here they are. There's your satellites. When people say, oh, I've seen that satellite go over. You fucking never. There's shit up there, but they're critters. Stuff in the water, okay? And the rest is balloons. So is that a tree? This mesa, is that a tree? Looks like. And they built a Greco-Romano temple just before the fall of the classical world called Tower of Babel. And I think there's a psyop to do with ships as well, guys. I think they were steel a long time before they said in the ironclads of the American Civil War, etc. I think. So it's just the classical world. It must have been a hell of a lot of people living there for the size of it. A beautiful bit of Antiquitech pagoderage or whatever that is. For electromagnetic technologies. So yeah, building it in the Middle Ages, the Tower of Babel. Let's get that fucking thing up there. Let's get out of here. we got a flood coming. Hitting the nose off a classical statue, so you don't find out who these people are, guys, okay? Because they got noses, because they're from no city, Tyre, okay? The tyrants of Tyre, the Phoenicians, and a lot of them got the nose. I got a feeling they pissed people off before now, you know, just saying. So what does it look like, the Tower of Babel? It's like a highly technological piece of equipment. It looks a bit Art Deco, like 1930s America. Looks a bit like the Chrysler building. Looks like you've got giant speakers in it, and it looks like it gives off a sound, is what I think it looks like. And the British, tourists coming over to Egypt to check out the recently destructed civilization, just recently getting over there. Okay, Tesla, if you can find a video of him super smashing great, okay, send it in. But there's still old narratives that saying, you know, to use Earth's electrical force. Nikola Tesla, amazing plan to harness free currents. Okay, so this is basically the basis of antiquity, guys. Okay, free energy. This, which was fitted on all the buildings in antiquity, resonators, these little small stupas, pyramids, if you like, drawing power, electrostatic charge down, and for various uses, guys. Look at these mud flooders. Obviously for power, but also for vibrational technologies, resonation technologies, many permeations. Look at the size of that for a fireplace, bigger than the guy, but the mantelpiece is high. 1850, 1870 written on it. And the British, who like to do sweet fuck all, laser rounds, have people fussing, farting over well, they do nothing, lazing around. I'm just going to have a kip because my head's spinning from all that fucking food I just ate, booze, sort of thing. But everyone else does stuff for them. Don't respect all that. Should get stuck in, you know, do your own shit. Babylon, with a highly technological tower in what I say is the Renaissance period, the Middle Ages. So is anything real in this realm? So they had radiant heaters. You can't go a toilet in a Tatarian house because they had no need for toilets for whatever reason. What about this? Nico time cigarettes, the smooth taste for expectant mothers. So if you're like 10 months pregnant, okay, if you're like 8 months pregnant, that was a joke. Get a fag down you. No flies on me thanks to DTT. So guys, make your child orange, dip it in some Agent Orange, and you have no flies on it. Okay. Alternatively, send your kid, if you're 1902, send your kid down to the sweet shop to get some heroin hydrochloride, okay, to get off your face with, maybe some powders as well, and asbestos. Something else I posted about got threatened. Somebody said they were going to flag my channel and take me out unless I deleted it, so I just set it to private, because basically they would take my channel out saying, how dare you say anything against the asbestos industry, my father died of asbestosis. It's a possibility this is actually not as dangerous as they say. Okay, let this magical mineral asbestos protect the buildings and your family had fire retardant capabilities, and the Twin Towers were full of asbestos, but that's another story. So you ever try carbon dating, guys? Anyway, it's not an accurate science. You look a lot older than your profile picture. You know, I've been under a lot of pressure. So going on now, coal not being, you know, pressurized ancient squillion-year-old trees, and diamonds being extra pressurized coal squillion-year-old trees, could it be possible that diamonds are completely something different? Yes, I think so. I love Snoopy and Charlie Brown. Anyway, I used to like these as a kid. I thought they were wicked. I had all their books and everything, and watched them. So what if they're not stars? What if they're holes poked in the top of a container so that we can breathe? I like that. Can buy some weeds off you. So this map I showed on my post community page last week is China, and it shows the barrier of stakes for the position of the Great Wall of China. And there's only a few ideas of what could be going on. It goes for a vast distance. It's only made of stakes, and the wall we know today isn't there in this 1808 map. What's going on? And it shows it in the line here. So it's a vast fence made of timbers or stakes and not a wall. At that period, I don't know. What do you mean? I need to behave. He's standing on his head. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's totally acceptable. I'm not sure what's happened, but a meme for Christmas. So have I got any more to share with you? I certainly have, but I'm going to come back for a little minute. What, I got away with that? Flat thumbs. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, it's going to rain. Anyway, I got to go and basically eat. I haven't eaten today. It's Christmas Day. I've only had toast. I don't do anything normal. I don't have a normal life. So yeah, a fantastic year, guys. We've done so much. You know, we've done a bit of activism, visited dozens of places with really good interest. Newstead Abbey, and went to London, Speaker's Corner, to catch up with the Peeps there. I went to Birmingham, Truth Juice with Andy and Claire, and loads of people that actually turned up to see me during a lockdown. No masks, loads of good people together. That was fantastic. I loved that. I travelled all over the north of England, South Wales coast, seeing, you know, Neolithic sites, loads of different stuff, which I'll be talking about in the next week. I'm going to do a synopsis of the cool year that was Flat Earth British, and it's been fantastic. And all the discoveries as well, which have been many. Brian Splat paradigm changing stuff. So that's been me. Let me just wish you all, be careful what you wish for. Regards, okay, regards, your golden aura of protection for what bullshit is to come, okay? Let's join forces, closer. I don't like that word, forces. Join the fam closer, okay, because there's safety in numbers, okay, and we're really up against it, I'm just saying. But all is at hand, and the barrier is getting amazingly busy. Loads of people are bugging out, and loads of people are getting out of the matrix, so that is very good news. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of film, which is really super cool, guys, of Vancouver in Canada, and it will show you what it looked like, excuse me, in the recent past. And it is so Tatarian, it is unbelievable. So let me just skip down. I have loads of stuff to show you, but it's time. So I'll show you this. So in my mind, guys, what I find fascinating is no one is actually doing anything. Check the people, they got no shopping bags. Everyone is aimlessly walking nowhere. Very much like Market Street, San Francisco, in 1906. But check out this building at the end of the street. It's fantastic. Everyone waving at the man. So it's going, I'm not sure if it's been sped up, but this tram seems to be going at some speed. But beautiful in colour, and you get a real flavour for 1902. But check out the size of these arches on the left hand side, and the size of this mud flooded down here. Lower windows, and this monster Tatarian building straight in front of you. Looks like the Quebec court or something, but very Tatarian feel to it. Whoa, it's in a corner. Could be a British street, could be anywhere in Christendom. All the world looks exactly the same. But one thing I find fascinating is they completely fucked up the sky and the aesthetics with the wooden poles that are all like crooked for telegraph and communications, apparently. But note the people, they are aimlessly walking around, no shopping bags, no shopping anything. Where is everyone going to, and what is everyone doing? And there's a lot of people on the streets too, guys. Now I like coming down this hill. It reminds me of somewhere I know, maybe in London or somewhere. Just coming up to this hill, and it goes off to the left hand side. Looks familiar. I sometimes wonder if I'll ever go to Vancouver and actually go around this corner in the modern day and see these buildings here, these still there. I sometimes wonder. Oh, my son is working out the back, stamping ingots. So this could be Britain. Vancouver rubber. So I wonder if they're still there. And into the next street. Absolutely fascinating, isn't it? Ooh, that little kid just jumped off the wagon. And everyone taking the suicidal stroll in front of the tram needlessly, and the cart's wheels nearly falling off. I noticed they're all really, really rickety, these carts. And look at the tonnage they're carrying as well. Unbelievable. State of the poles wrecks the place. So look at the size of the arches on this building here. Crazy, crazy. So yeah, Vancouver's another city. The island got, you know, utterly destroyed in a giant fire. And pretty much the same narrative for most North American cities for Vancouver. But the architecture is beautiful. I thought about that. And lovely colorized image, give you a real flavour. Oh, look at that for colour. Oh, I like that. I like that. Yeah, it's really, really cool. But what is everyone doing? I'm just in a shopping bag. There are shops, I can see them. Hotels. And everyone dressed in their dark suits with their white starched shirts with the age with no washing machine apparently. But yet everyone's so immaculately turned out. Funny they had the electric tram before they had the... What's powering this tram then, guys? Because there's no lines above. Yeah, there is lines above. I can see them now. Okay. They have the electric tram before the motor car. No. Yes, is that wires above? Yes, yes it is. Okay. Right, look at that down there. So yeah, it's a really broad, wide street, anticipating the cars that have not yet arrived, because I don't think you need to build them that broad for horse and cart. Past Wallace's. On another parallel street. Check out on the right hand side all of that on the roof. Semi-ready. Behind semi-ready. Poodle Dog Cafe. Ooh. So strange stuff. Got printing going on. This is just before the motor car. There are a few around at this time, but they would be mostly electric at this time. They were in the late 1800s. They go into fuel, so they could rip everyone off forever. Biggest scam in history. One of them. Well, I can think of a bigger scam. So, it's going to go off down into the suburbs now. Right. Right, I'll be done now. Stamping, cool. It's going to rain. Sorry. So it's Flatmass, isn't it? So this is what I'm doing. So let's go down into that neighbourhood down there. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Look at the size of this door, yeah. Wow. Come on, horse, get out of the fucking way, will you? Beep your hooter. Yeah, beep his hooter. There's a car. There's an early car before the Mod T Ford. 1902 Shadowbang. So I like this going down into the neighbourhoods. Look at this, guys. Let's watch out for mud flooders. So we've got permanent pavements, newspapers, boxes on the road just left. Okay, we've got some empty lots. Oh, I'd like to see what that big large building is on the left hand side, but it's out of focus. That's out of picture.